Hello, my name is Paco Rivera, and this is the Maximum Sentence channel, where we discuss recent crimes and convictions and a maximum penalty handed down. You can also follow me on Facebook for updates and more. There will be a link to my Facebook in the description below. Shortly after midnight on what was now October the 9th of the year 2021, a Friday night, or better said, early Saturday morning, since it was now past midnight, 31-year-old Matthew Mire was living in the Livingston Parish neighborhood of Louisiana. And in that neighborhood, he had some neighbors that lived right next door to him, a married couple living in this mobile home. That couple would later tell police that they had heard noises outside their home after midnight, and moments later, there was a man banging on their door. While the man and woman living inside that mobile home were standing near the door, they heard shots from a gun being fired through the door. One bullet struck the man in the arm. The woman was shot in one arm and one leg. It would be hours later when police would learn that that shooter was Matthew Mire. We don't have a clear understanding what the motive was, but reports indicate that Mire was very angry with that particular couple for some reason that has not been disclosed. We also know that Mire was heavily addicted to methamphetamine, and that might have led to his going crazy that night. The couple from the mobile home notified authorities, and both were later transported to a hospital where they later recovered from their wounds. Police would also later learn that Mire had stolen a vehicle in that same neighborhood where he lived and where the shootings had taken place, a blue 2013 Chevrolet Silverado pickup truck. About 3 hours later, about 3 o'clock in the morning, authorities in Ascension Parish in Louisiana received a call from the home of Matthew Mire's half-sister, 37-year-old Pamela Adair. The call was from Pamela's longtime boyfriend, Joe Schexnayder, who was 43 years old. Joe said that he and Pamela were shot by Pamela's half-brother, Matthew Mire. The couple, Joe and Pamela, lived in Prairieville. Paramedics arrived and transported both Pamela and her boyfriend to a hospital in Baton Rouge, where Pamela was later declared deceased. By this point, police in Louisiana were now conducting a manhunt for Matthew Mire, who was the obvious suspect in the shooting at Pamela and Joe's home. He also became, at that point, the primary suspect in the shooting in Livingston Parish, where his two neighbors were wounded and being treated at a hospital. And because of a manhunt in progress, protocol called for complete radio silence on police radios. I believe the reason for radio silence was to prevent a suspect, in the event that he had access to a police radio scanner, from knowing tactics being deployed by police to find him. This radio silence would, however, become critical on what exactly happened to Louisiana State Trooper, Master Trooper Adam Gaubert, who was found dead in his patrol unit much later that day. Apparently, troopers and police have made it a habit to sign off on the radio when they are going off duty, a way to let dispatchers and others know that they're done and they're heading home. But because of the radio silence in place, nobody found it unusual that they did not hear from Master Trooper Adam Gaubert signing off that night, and nobody knew that he was dead. It was learned much later that Trooper Gaubert had completed responding to a traffic accident and was sitting in his car writing a report on the accident. He had parked the car in the empty parking lot of a bank to write that report. That bank was very near the home of Matthew Mire's half-sister, Pamela Adair, and her boyfriend. At some point that night, and to this day, nobody really knows if this happened before Mire shot his sister and her boyfriend, or if it happened after, but Matthew Mire had approached Trooper Gaubert's patrol unit and shot Gaubert to death. Police continued the search for Matthew Mire, And in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, he was spotted and the chase was on. And a shootout between Mire and another trooper, Albert Martin, had ensued. Mire managed to escape, and after another 12 hours of searching for him, he was captured about 10 o'clock that night when he was spotted again, and a K-9 police dog took him down near Horseshoe 2 Road in Baton Rouge. Mire was transported to a hospital to treat dog bites from the K-9 and for a bullet wound that he sustained to one leg that strangely police say came from his own gun. A few hours earlier that day, Master Trooper Adam Gaubert was discovered dead in his car at 5 p.m. that Saturday.
At about 5 p.m., that a co-worker found Master Trooper Gaubert unresponsive in his vehicle.
Investigators had estimated that he was found about 15 hours after he was shot. Remember, he was in a bank's parking lot, and this was a Saturday. Banks closed for the weekend. Matthew Mire was released from the hospital, and 2 days later, when Mire was released from the hospital and transported to a county jail, he was handcuffed with the cuffs that belonged to Master Trooper Adam Gaubert. According to police, Matthew Mire had made a statement to them when speaking about the murder of Trooper Gaubert. I didn't mean to, but the guy was watching the house. He was obviously speaking of the home of his sister Pamela, who he shot and killed, and her boyfriend Joe, who he also shot. This would seem to indicate that Mire shot the trooper while planning to go into the home of Pamela and Joe, and the trooper, unfortunately, was in his way. Matthew Mire avoided the death penalty by agreeing to a plea agreement that allowed Louisiana to avoid a trial. The agreement also calls for Mire to not file any appeals while serving his time in prison, which means if he files an appeal, Louisiana can take him to trial and sentence him to death. This was not the first time that Mire was arrested. In 2017, he was arrested after attacking his grandfather when Mire was living in his home in Baton Rouge. The grandfather had asked Mire to clean up his mess, and that's all it took. Pamela Adair had 3 children. It appears they were not in Pamela and Joe's home when the shootings took place. According to Pam's sister-in-law, Pam was her own person. She had a kind heart and would do anything for other people. She was like a free spirit. I don't know how to explain it because she's just Pam. By the way, it should be noted that while almost every report on this case states that Matthew Mire and Pamela Adair were half-siblings, Pamela's sister-in-law had also said during that interview that Pamela and Mire were not related, but that he is Joe Schexnayder's cousin. Master Trooper Adam Gaubert was described as a caring and loving father and a source of strength and comfort for all who knew him. He was a joyful presence. He was a jokester. This is the second video in a row where I ended up using that word. He was a jokester with the ability to make people around him laugh so hard it would make your body hurt. His family has said that he was always willing to lend out a helping hand. Investigators were never fully able to determine a motive for the shooting spree and murders committed by Matthew Mire on that night. It's a bit of a mystery. But there is one word that might describe the motive in a way. Just one word. Methamphetamine. Please go ahead and hit the subscribe button for more of these recent true crime stories so that you're alerted when the next one comes out. You can also follow me on Facebook for updates. There will be a link to my Facebook in the description below. My name is Paco Rivera. Thank you for watching. Take care and bye for now.